He's asking questions about how it works.
Ah,
Oh, he's talking about what the park position is
I see.
and the alignment on the, the two little diamonds for the align to align them, the
Oh,
axes.
sure. Yeah, he's just learning how to
Yeah.
align and
Oh,
get.
and he's actually talking about the hole for looking at the alignment scope. Why you have to switch, how why you have to rotate it 90 degrees so you don't bump your head, basically. It's a standard thing.
Sure.
So he's asking a couple of questions about the polar alignment scope. What else?
Mike Wiesner saying howdy.
Hey, Mike.
So this week is, of course, over the weekend is new moon, and it happens to be
Yep.
anniversaries of Pioneer 10 and 11, both having Jupiter flybys this week. So Jupiter on Thursday, Pioneer 11 flew by Jupiter in 1974, and just the year before on Friday, it seems amazingly close that they would time it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, in 1973, the year before, they had a Jupiter flyby at Pioneer 10.
So, yeah, I always get Pioneer and Voyager mixed up. Voyager was in
How,
77, right?
when you think about all the math involved and all the calculations and everything, the
Mm,
launch windows, everything that had to happen
right.
for these two spacecraft to go that far, okay, and do flybys literally a day apart.
Well,
You know?
right, right.
A day, well, not a day apart, but a day to the year. That is like
Yeah,
threading uh,
yeah.
the eye of the needle for sure.
They timed, they launched two spacecraft in case one of them fails, right? They didn't want to have failures, just like they did Viking 1 and 2. They landed like a month apart or something like that. I
Yes.
think, I think, I don't remember. Did Viking 2 land first or Viking 1? It landed on July 4th, remember, in 1976. And
Right. I
then and
remember
then
the
the other
images
one
coming
and the
down.
other one was August, I think.
I was blown away when the images came down. I was
Well,
watching.
that first one that showed the landing pad, that was the one that struck me. And then you saw rocks on the ground, like it looks like
Yeah,
Earth,
I was like,
it looks like
holy
Earth.
smokes.
It
Yeah.
looks like the desert. And
I
remember
remember
the
everybody
initial,
else in my family was like going ho hum, no big deal. And I was like
yeah,
looking at it
right.
just out
Yeah.
of my mind with it. It was crazy.
You remember the first color pictures they downloaded? The color balance was off and it looked like it had blue skies.
Well, Well,
I
it
don't know if
kind
that
of
was
did,
kind of,
doesn't it really? I mean, when they showed the parachute,
well, if it's, I
that's
think
pretty
it
blue
would
sky.
have blue skies because of the way, but because of the dust in the atmosphere, it's red. I think there's always dust. So.
Well, hello everybody. It's Scott Roberts and Jerry Hubbell here, and this is the 182nd episode of the OpenGOTO community. I think this is our first official live broadcast show that we were doing. We were doing it almost
Yep.
every day, Monday through
We were
Friday,
doing it every day for quite a few weeks or
for
months, really.
months. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, that's right. And
I
then
think we got well over 100 during it daily, and then we went to a couple of times a week, and now we're once a week
once a week, yeah.
because we got a bunch of other shows. You built quite a big network of shows.
Oh yeah, there's tons of information in them, So whether you're following, the OpenGOTO community or Global Star Party or First Light Chronicles, the How Do You Know show. We also did specialty shows like 7 Months of Science. We're still continuing on with the Astronomical League live programs that come on once a month. So we got one coming up with Terry Mann, who will be on tonight's Global Star Party. So
Good.
I was reading through the chats here, and Mike Wiesner was saying that his what's coming up is his 60th anniversary of him getting his first telescope. And then I started to think, well, when did I get my first telescope? Of course, I got mine in December, so it's a little easy to kind of figure out. It's Christmas time.
Right.
And I got this telescope, not this very, very exact one, but this is from the same year, same vintage and everything. I show it off all the time. But this would have been 51 years ago. I didn't realize that I'd kind of been interested in astronomy quite that long, but it sounds like a long time ago. But it goes by like that, So
is that the first one you ever used, right? So the first one I
Yeah.
ever used was in 1968, I think it was. My school had a bunch of telescopes, little 3-inch Newtonians that were on a spindly little tripod like that one. And I remember taking that home and using it. We lived in an apartment at that time on the 3rd floor, so I took it out on a balcony and looked out over the landscape. And I didn't do a whole lot of stargazing. I did some looking at the moon, but that was about all I can remember, looking at the
on your
moon.
friends.
And they were doing construction like a mile away, and I remember looking at the trucks moving around on the construction site.
Oh yeah.
That was always fun. I always liked looking through the telescope during the day and at night.
Sure. Yeah, I still do. So, we have a perimeter of some trees here, and we do our On the Wing show as well as another show that we've been doing. And as we started learning more about birds by doing that, it just became more and more interesting to me. With and then I started looking at amber. I don't know if you've ever seen photographs of amber and stuff, but they have found uh, you know, little tiny dinosaurs and all kinds of stuff in amber that's like super old, so it's pretty cool. Um, and it's just
Oh yeah.
it's interesting. Fossils, amber, ancient starlight, all of that stuff kind of falls into in kind of this fossilized type of you know time capsules. So um, but part of the series of global star parties that we've been doing, we are, I'm trying to focus a little bit on some of the aspects that amateur astronomers that do educational outreach, what they talk about, and so this next one coming out is called Scale and Perspective. And all of us have watched the YouTube videos, where it shows like, the Earth, and then it sizes up to the relationship of the Earth to Jupiter, and then the Earth, Jupiter to the Sun, and then the Sun to ever larger stars. And a lot of them kind of stop at that scale. But there's a video that was done in the 1970s called Powers of 10. And
Yeah, I recall. I remember seeing that when
remember that?
then
Yeah.
in school. That was a cool video.
Yeah, it was. It
It
was
starts out with that
the
man and
guy, he's
woman
like
sitting
in
on
a
a
park or something.
they're on a park on a blanket and they're looking at his hand, right? And they zoom out from his hand, and then they zoom into his hand.
Right. Yeah, and they go into the subatomic world and everything. It's interesting to see kind of where they stop in the subatomic world, because the last part of it is that we stop at a point beyond human understanding or something like that, So, but they've gone much further with that, and so it's amazing, what we've been able to properties we've been able to determine and all the
Yeah.
rest of it. And it just seems like it's never ending,
Well, the interesting thing for me on that, and I didn't think about it till later, was the scale. The when you zoom out, you're at powers of 10 up to, I don't know, 30 something maybe, and then you go in, it's about the same. So we're halfway between the maximum and minimum scale that we've discovered right now.
right.
That's really cool when
That's
you think
because we're
about it.
the observer, right?
We're in
So,
well, I don't know. We're just that size. That's the size we are. You know,
let's see. I'm going to
that's
see
what
if
I
I,
think is really interesting. The fact that we're in the middle size area.
let's see.
We're not
Powers.
too. We're like Goldilocks. We're not too big and we're not too small.
That's true.
Just think if
It's
we
like,
were as big as planets,
oh yeah.
or
Well, it could be,
well, it depends on the planet, right? You could have beings that are huge.
planetoids. They're
You
probably
know,
little planetoids
you
that,
could have planets that are 10 times as big as us, that are rocky planets that aliens grew up on, and they're like 50 foot tall. That would be wild.
well, I was a real
I,
short kid in school, so everybody looked like they
I
were
guess that's
50
kind of
foot
the
tall.
opposite. If a bigger planet would have more gravity, so you have to be smaller to be able to survive on it. So if you got a small planet, you'd be bigger, maybe.
Right. I just shared in chat a YouTube link to Powers of 10. So when you guys get a chance, you should look at it. And then you should watch Global Star Party tonight, because a lot of the people that are coming on will give their perspective, on scale and sizes of things. At the very end of the Global Star Party will be Stephen Edberg. Stephen was on the Galileo mission. He was on the Cassini mission. He's a planetary scientist, and professional astronomer, but he's also, he'll be the first to tell you he's an amateur astronomer too. So, and he loves it. So that's all cool stuff. But he'll have a presentation. And when I was talking to him today, he wouldn't even tell me all the presentation. He says, I'm going to surprise you by giving you my perspective on all this. And I go, okay, that's cool, man. So anyhow, but earlier in our, before we came on, we were talking, Jerry and I were talking about the new version or the ongoing development of the ExploreStars app, which we are currently testing a new version of that. And so What can we say about it right now, Jerry?
So the first thing is that we've had this request for a while to get on the phone, right? So we embarked on an initial development
To
on
put
it,
the app on a smartphone, right?
smartphone, right? And which is basically the iPhone and the Android phones, right? So we started on the development a while ago, and then we're resource constrained. Okay, so it wasn't a priority. We had other priorities, and then recently in the last 6 months we've been able to prioritize this, and we've actually got some OpenGOTO community support to do this development also. So that's exciting. And the ExploreStars 2 is going to be a brand new rewrite, basically, of the existing ExploreStars. There's some neat new features and some new, more subtle. I guess subtle is a word you could use. There's more little features in there that are kind of like Easter eggs that until you know you need them, you don't really think about it.
Right.
And it's kind of cool. Some of the little and so that's cool. And you want to talk about? Did you want to show a screenshot of the main
Yeah,
screen?
yeah, if you got one that you can show that.
Well, I was just starting to look. Oh, I posted on our chat, Scott, a link to a cool video that I watched last year. I think it's the
Okay.
same one about star sizes in the universe. So
Okay.
you can
Share
let
that.
me see, let me go to my email and see if I can find this screenshot.
Hey, Tarek, he's saying hello to us. Norm Hughes is with us. Who else do we got? Tommy Hale from St. Louis. So, hello, Tommy. Mike Wiesner's watching. Jim's Astro, Andrew Corkill, and Pekka.
Can't find it. Let me see.
Tomorrow we will have Sepide Hushar. Sepide was featured in a documentary made in 2013 that focused on a young teenage Iranian girl who was in love with the stars, in love with astronomy and space exploration. You know, in her bedroom, she's got like a poster of Einstein, and you know, she was you know, a huge fan of Anusha Ansari, and actually got to you know, Anusha called her during the documentary at one point during the documentary and surprised her. So it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. She's now grown, married, with kids, but she still is very involved in science education, and so she'll be on tomorrow with Farah Payan. Farah is the owner of Woodland Hills Camera and Telescope, also originally from Iran. So she'll be the interpreter. But I'm looking forward to this. This will be cool.
So when you know it, I'm looking on my email and my Outlook program died on me. So I got to start it back up and search again.
At least our Zoom program's not dying on us.
No, it looks like it's working
That's
good.
good.
That's right.
Uh,
So the other things we can talk about in the
sure.
interface. So it's typically it's basically all the screens have been redesigned to fit the format for the phone, and so one of the neat features, or a couple of them, one is that you can rotate the phone, right, depending on which orientation you want to hold the phone to run the mount, and the buttons realign for you. So basically, you can operate it with one hand, and I'll show you when I find this picture, you'll know what I'm talking about. So you can use your thumb to reach all the major buttons and functions that you need to. There's
Right.
like 5
And
or
it
6
works
different ones.
for
And
if
you can
you're
flip it.
righty
Yeah,
or lefty,
right. You
right?
can flip it to left, right hand, or right hand. So which is kind of cool, and it mirrors the display. So when you're in portrait mode, it's stacked. It has 2 sections basically, two two you know, 2 halves of the screen that are for different
Hmm.
pieces of data. And then when you rotate it in landscape mode, it makes them side by side. So that's cool. And
Right.
it's got the same graphics and same information that you have in the gallery with the database. There's some other features that were added to the lookup and the filtering of the database,
Right.
the catalogs, object catalogs. It's improved. There's improvements there.
It just seems
Uh,
overall more intuitive.
it's a little more intuitive, and it's more polished. It looks
Yeah.
although the first one was very polished. I mean, it's kind of, when ExploreStars was released in 2000 and I guess it was in 2016, 2017.
Hmm.
It was kind of groundbreaking in some regards.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
seen other apps uh,
Yeah. The
grow into the same kind
developer,
of thing.
the guy that wrote it, Dan Dickerson, won an award from Microsoft for it. He
Yeah,
was in a competition with it. So,
and he developed it early on to
yeah,
actually try to run our original XS2 mount.
that's right.
That was in 2012, right?
That's right. But we realized that we needed to have control over the electronics to a greater degree than Dan had, and that's what led us down the development of the PMC8 system.
All right, so I got my email back open. Let me see if I can find these picture. It's hard to describe it unless you really see it,
Right.
to really get a feel for how innovative it is. Um, mm, mm, mm.
You were showing me some images of the moon you did
Yeah,
early this
I
morning.
don't,
Kind of
I don't know if
cool.
I'm gonna. Yeah, let me show that real quick to you. Um, so what else can we say about the? We're testing the app right now. It's not feature complete. The app will be released next year, early next year. Um, all right, I just did this the other night. This was on,
Nice.
when was this? Whenever the third quarter was. I was like 3 o'clock in the morning or something, 4 o'clock in the morning when I was up doing this.
What were you doing up at that early
I
on?
just got up and I saw the sky was clear, and I said,
Okay.
well, I'm just going to spend. This is the nice thing about having a remote observatory. You can take 5 minutes to open it up,
That's true.
flew to the moon, take 20 minutes worth of data, and then close it up, and
Right.
then go back to sleep.
Stumble back into bed.
And so this is the way I do these images on this station one has got the 6.5 inch refractor apo refractor. It's got about a 1.4 by 0.9 degree field of view, and this is cropped. I used Sharp Cap to capture the video from our QHY 163 color camera, and it's an f5.1 system. It's only got 850 millimeter focal length, so it's not really built for doing high resolution imaging. But I like to do it to take one video. You can do the whole moon, and actually a lot bigger than that. But the neat thing is the sampling or the pixel size is such that it's pretty well sampled, even at that large of a field of view. So I'm gonna zoom in on Copernicus.
I think I also found the screenshots you were looking for, so I sent it to your
Oh,
email.
okay. Oh, you sent it to me? Okay, good. So I'll get that in a second. So you can see Copernicus. This is getting to a point where that's about the limit of the resolution, but you can see different craters here that are around 3 mile or 5 kilometers or so, like this one right here.
Yeah.
I can make it a blob, so that's fully zoomed in.
Yeah, you can still tell it's a crater.
This one is 5 miles. That's about 3 miles right there. It's a crater.
Three
There's
kilometers or 3 miles?
um this is this is this one's I'm trying to think. This one's 5 kilometers or 3 miles right here. Right there, probably 5 kilometers, 3 miles, and this one's uh, uh, 5 miles right there. You can see some hilly material.
Yeah.
You can, so this one right here is kind of like a smudge, like a dark spot. Those are actual craters, but they don't really show any depths per se, like these do. You don't have a dark and a bright area. You just have a different tone area that's darker, that shows the dark part of the crater. Um, and you can tell this is a hill. See this right here? This hill right here is about the same size as this crater, but you can tell it's a hill because the bright side is on the left
Oh, yeah, that's right.
and the dark side is on the right, where the crater is the opposite, right?
Right.
It's like, so that's how you can tell these are hills. There's another, that's kind of a hill there because you can see it's brighter here than it is on here. But so let me zoom out. So that tells you the whole scale. So the moon is 2,160 kilometers across. Okay, so that gives you a scale. Uh, here's Tycho. This is kind of cool. Look at Tycho. You can see the central peak lit up there, and you can see the shadow of the peak right there,
Yeah.
and other portions of the crater rim. So these are off the crater
Now,
rim.
does that mean the peak rises up higher than the crater rim itself?
Well, Um, no, so you can think of the angle that the light's coming in, okay?
Oh, okay.
You can
Right.
see that this peak hits the crater right there along the it's not quite up the full wall because this is where the steepest part of the rim is, but
Yeah.
it's going uphill there. But you can think of the sun angle as coming this way and it's up, you can kind of picture it in your head what the angle would be
Right.
to get to hit that spot in the crater. So if it was actually the same size as the rim, this peak would actually be up to here, up along the rim,
Mm-hmm.
or even past it with the sun angle. If it was the same size as the rim, as it gets lower, um, depending on if it stays lit. So that's the key thing. You got to see how long it stays lit, and this shadow creeps up the wall, right? As time goes on, this shadow will creep up the wall, and then at some point, um, it'll be covered up. Basically, it'll be all black, so you would only have a small port. But you can see with this amount of peak lit up, you can see it's quite a bit of the peak because the craters or the shadow is sticking out. As the sun goes down, the shadow would creep up and it would move to this area, and then you'd have a little piece sticking up, right? And then as it moves further, it would stick up and it would just finally cover the peak. So if this peak was as high as the rim, it would actually stick up a lot further.
Right.
That that's kind of cool. Now I've got the
Very cool.
LTVT program and you could measure that. And the height, and it basically would be the measure of the peak, how high it is above the spot on the crater floor. There's another interesting feature, which is the straight wall. Here it is right here. I always like looking at the straight wall visually, especially because it just looks like a stark, real well-defined line. It's like
Yeah,
a, but you can see the sun being low. You can see the shadow of this crater right here. See how it sticks out here?
yeah.
I'm not sure if the contrast is high
I
enough.
think, if we actually get to the point where we have space tourists going to the moon and exploring different parts of the moon, a place that maybe a lot of artists would want to go is the straight wall,
Oh
because
yeah,
see where you
yeah,
kind of set up your canvas or whatever, if you could actually paint while while you were on the moon, it would just be an amazing perspective,
right. The straight wall is kind of a misnomer because it's not really a wall. It's a slope.
I see.
It's not as steep as you think it is. It's
So it's
actually
not
about
not going to be like
15.
the Great Wall of China or
No,
something.
no, it's like a 15-degree slope is what it is.
That's it, really?
Yep, yep.
Wow.
It just makes you think it's a lot steeper. That's the
Yeah.
way it is and because of the way the relief is and the contrast with the peaks, it makes you think these peaks are jagged. Remember, and originally, remember, uh, what's his name? Bonestall, who did all the artwork for the 1950s movies, um, for for
Oh, you're
drawings
talking
of what
about
the
like the
moon looked.
sci-fi.
Yeah, the sci-fi movies where it looked like all the peaks
Yeah,
look real
yeah.
jagged. They
He would
looked real
paint
jagged.
the backgrounds or whatever.
Right. Everything looked jagged because that's the
Oh,
way
it was.
that's why
Yeah.
the shadows, that's because the way the shadows make the things look on the moon, it looks like it's jagged, but it's not.
Hmm.
Um, Here's another peak uh for this crater uh in the middle with the shadow, and you can see how the sun here, you're further towards the sun, so the shadows aren't quite so long. And then when you get even further, like here on Gassendi, you know, you don't have any shadowing, a whole lot of shadowing on the crater floor. Just the inside of the rim on this side that's in shadow, and here too, you can see that. So so I zoom out so you can see it's the straight wall right there. This is the view you would get basically looking through an eyepiece. This is kind of the resolution you would see, I think. Um, uh, there's quite a few other features down here in the southern highlands. This crater is a famous crater, Clavius.
Hmm.
That's where in 2001 the moon base was at in Clavius. It was built in that crater, and then the anomaly, the uh, the slab was buried in Tycho up here.
Oh,
That's
wow.
where the slab. That's where what they call it, the monolith was buried in Tycho crater.
Right. Maybe that is the
And
big monolith.
so yeah, it kind of looks like it, doesn't it? Pretty huge there.
Yeah, of
I'm sure if we got some conspiracy people say photograph of monolith on in Tycho crater right
course.
there.
What's the use of living if you can't have a bunch of conspiracy theories?
Right. The other thing I like about this photograph is it shows you how, and past the Terminator, you've got peaks that stick up
Yeah.
after
Um,
sunset
They
here,
got to
right?
be, that's tall. I mean, for
So
sure.
you got to think about how tall these. So if you go to the top or the north, there's some really tall ones out here. So look how far off the Terminator this one is. That peak, I could identify these peaks, but there's that one especially is pretty far off. So it's all black except for that peak. Could you imagine looking up and seeing that bright peak in the midst of the blackness?
Yeah, look at that.
That would be cool.
That's way out there.
Yeah. And then look at this. Look how far out this is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you got other ones, there's another peak here, another one
Sure.
here.
Little ones.
So that type of stuff is cool to see. And then the Apennine mountain range. called the Apennines. You can see how the peaks extend up into the past the Terminator also,
Mm-hmm.
that whole range of mountains.
Right. That'd be beautiful to photograph
So
from the
yeah,
ground.
yep. So there's
Yeah.
one other crater that's kind of odd that I'll point out real quick. It's Schiller. Yeah, it's like it got scraped up. It's really
Yeah.
oblong.
Yes.
And then you've got the central mountains right there. It's kind of odd. It's almost like it came grazing from the
Oh
right to the
yeah.
left.
Well, there's plenty of craters. When you're looking at the moon, you can see like it looks like a machine gun, came in and,
Oh, like a shotgun. Yeah.
yeah, they came in
It's,
and boom, 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 boom,
yep.
So
The other thing that's odd about the third quarter is the craters look weird to you. If you ever get up early in the morning to look at the third quarter moon,
hmm.
they look backwards because the
Oh
light's on
yeah.
the opposite side. It's just an odd
Right.
thing to see. And as this week, as you look at the moon, it even gets even more odd looking. You can see it here. Um,
Right. Where it's bright.
it's bright on this side of it. So now I could actually, I don't know if I can do this here. Edit. I don't know if I can.
Oh, like
Um,
convert the,
what I was going to do is invert the light so it looked like it was backwards.
yeah.
Uh, but that's fine. So let me get those pictures. Let me stop my share. I'll go get the other pictures of the interface for the Explore
Sure.
Stars, and we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Sure. I was a little worried. We hadn't heard from Beatrice in a while on our shows and
Oh yeah.
asking about her, but Harold Locke says Beatrice asked me to convey her thanks for the concern from all of us. So, yeah, she's been a busy lady of recent, so that's good.
All right. So let me save these. Come on. Oh,
Are those the ones you were looking for?
yeah, these are the droids I'm looking for.
Good.
Oh, come on. Can't do that.
David says, hard to get this quality of picture even if we work on it in Photoshop. Those are just kind of, you didn't really image process that much, did you, Jerry?
I use Registax to stack a video. It was 1,000
Okay.
frame video that I took, and I stacked the best. I think it's 200 frames. But the seeing was terrible, so it did. I mean, I kind of pushed it a little bit. It looks a little over processed to my eye now that I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Use wavelets or what do you like to use?
yeah, wavelet filtering. So the wavelets is really an awesome tool. I mean, it's an amazing thing the way that works. To bring out all the detail, you'll look at the raw image and it'll be blurry after the stack. It'll still be blurry, and you won't
Yeah.
see anywhere near the resolution that when you start adding the wavelets to it, then it gets to be really amazing. Let me see here. It'll take me another couple minutes. Come on.
So it says a wavelet is a mathematical function useful in digital signal processing and image compression. It says it works by analyzing an image and converting it into a set of mathematical expressions that can be decoded by the receiver. So I guess there is like a model, a mathematical model of what it's supposed to be, right?
Right. It's kind of like an iterative thing. It calculates what it should be, then it compares it and finds it different. There's an AI process for doing a lot of image processing that does that
I see.
iterative type process where uh, it's a lot more sophisticated with AI, but the wavelet thing is a cool process. All right. So let me see if I can bring up these pictures now.
So there used to be a image processing tool called maximum entropy deconvolution, MED.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that is now called wavelet transform
Hmm.
or something like that. So, but I remember that they came out with this kind of MED processing when Hubble was returning really badly focused because of spherical aberration.
Yes. Right.
They
Right.
were trying to reassemble the images, and it was amazing what they could reconstruct, from pretty terrible looking images.
Oh, yes.
And then they took good images and did it again, and it was like, holy smokes.
Well, yeah, so that was high tech stuff back in the 80s and 90s, and that technology got pushed down to our level and now it's free,
And now
which
it's
is kind of
free.
amazing.
Yeah. Multi-million dollar image processing technology for free.
Yep, exactly. All right, come on. I'm almost there.
Oh, good. They're all waiting with bated
I
breath.
know. It's like, come on, Jerry, get the thing. How fast are you with
Right.
this?
It's either that or they're all asleep. So
Right, right, right.
Norm Hughes says you cannot overdo the wavelets. Got to make minor adjustments.
Well, you got to balance all the different. Okay, so I'm ready to share my two pictures I have. I think you sent me a third one, but I'm gonna go ahead and just share these two.
Okay.
All right, so this, and I'm gonna zoom up on it so you can see it better.
I
The
think this is the first time we've really shown this
Yeah,
to the public. So
right. So this is in portrait mode. There's two parts, there's two halves of the display, and this is the bottom half, which is the hand control part. And what's really innovative is that you got your thumb. This is with you're holding it with your right hand. Your thumb can reach all these different buttons, and you've got the same joystick control here, but you've
right.
also got a D-pad, digital pad for the number pad, and then on top you've got the standard chart that we have.
Sure.
You've got and these icons on the side mean different things. I'm not going to divulge any details there yet. Um, but you can see we've got other icons. Like down here, we've got down here at the bottom, we got these icons here. Um, the magnifier, the telescope, and the gear, which is the settings. That's the settings. I can say that to you. And then you've got these icons for go to and sync and track in the tracking, pointing tracking mode.
Right.
Also, that's the same as it is on the existing ExploreStars. And then this joystick, that's what toggles to the D-pad back and forth between the digital number pad and the joystick.
Sure.
And then and then we got the park that's brought up to the front main. So that park is a main function. Now there are this is an older version of the display that's from a couple
Right.
months ago.
It's been evolved since.
So it's evolved since then, right?
Yep.
So let me bring up the other display, which gives you an idea of um see, there it is of the catalog. The catalog looks like.
So I'm kind of curious with the audience here. We're getting ready to plan for some to actually be at some astronomy events. I'm curious from the people listening right now, how many of you might be interested to go to the Northeast Astronomy Forum that will happen in, I think, April of next year?
April. Yep,
Yeah.
April, the first or second week of April, I think it is.
We are registered to go, and
It's paid for too. It's been paid for a
it's been
couple of
paid for
years.
for a couple of years because because of COVID. So,
Right.
mhm.
Now, that'd be exciting to be able to go there and get back to normal.
Right.
So this is what the catalog looks like. It's very much the same as the tablet. The other thing is that these apps that we're developing, the iPhone is the first one. It'll also work. It'll work on the iPad, the same app. So when we release the iPhone version, you'll be able to update it or upload it to your or download it to your tablet, your iPad. And the same thing with Android. Very soon afterwards, probably in about a month or so after we release the iPhone version, the Android version will be released. Because we're developing them in parallel, but not on the same time frame. We want to get the iPhone done, and then the code set is such that it's easily transportable between the loading on the iPhone and the Android app. So, and they'll pretty much look identical. Theoretically, they'll look identical. The operation will be identical. So there's a couple of screenshots to tickle your fancy.
Right. Yeah, we're more than interested, of course, of just teasing you with this stuff. We're looking forward to the program getting to the point where we can do some beta release testing, and
Yeah, that'll be. I expect we'll be able to release for wider beta release testing for selected users that want to volunteer right after the first of the year. I'm thinking is when that'll happen.
right.
And then that'll be pounded on for, I'd like to see us pound on it for a month or so, because no matter how many people test it, it seems like whenever we release it, we always find something.
Well, that's
And it could be a subtle thing. So if we spend a month pounding on it and get a lot of people to beta test it, I'm talking, we have a subgroup in the forum called a beta test subgroup. I'll be announcing it on the forum. This is for forum users. All right, that's where we pull our beta testers from, is from people that are the PMC8 forum users. So that'll be where we'll announce it when it's available for beta test, to put your name in their hat and ask to be a beta tester. I don't think we have to do like Elon Musk and Tesla did with the to monitor your operation of the scope to make sure you don't drive it off the road or anything. Or try to.
Yeah, will the new ExploreStars actually make me walk off a cliff or something?
Well, it might, if you walk away from it. If you try to sit in the back seat and let it drive itself, it won't kick you off the beta.
What was that game that people were playing where they were like, people were walking out into traffic, and
Oh yeah,
I forget, Pokemon Go, I think is
yeah,
what it was.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not going to be like that. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
So there'll be opportunities. I was going to say something else too, about the beta. I don't know. Anyway, that's where we're at with that.
Right. I'm answering a question here. Someone's Ibrahim is asking, how can I get better and sharp images?
Well, I can tell you, people don't realize how important focus is to get the best images, and they'll skimp on the focuser or not think about it.
Yeah.
So you have to use a tool to focus, like a batten-off mask.
Right.
The next tool you want to get, if you can, is a precision focuser that is motorized so that you keep your hands off of it while you're focusing.
Maybe temperature compensated if you want to
And
get.
then you can go into temperature compensated, right? And then so you can get into a lot more technology, but focus is every bit as contributes to an fantastic image as the mount does. You know, you could have the best mount in the world and have a goofy focuser and you never get a world-class image like you could possibly get, you know, or you would never push the performance of your mount, let me put it that way.
Right. I advise that, of course, the scope needs to be properly collimated. A lot of people don't get
Well, that's another piece of it,
collimation,
right? The collimation is
right?
very important.
Very
Now, the
important.
nice thing about refractors is they hold their collimation very well.
They do. That's true. But if you have a Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope, that's really one of the toughest telescopes to get a precision collimation because you've got an f2 primary and then this 5 power secondary that's on this swivel ball.
Right,
Okay?
that magnifies it,
Just
right?
a tiny little adjustment, can throw that thing out. So,
Right. RC scopes are difficult because they're
oh, even
purple.
tougher. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Cassegrain telescopes in general can be tougher to collimate. A lot of people think refractors are tough to collimate. They're nowhere near as tough as a Cassegrain is.
mm-hmm.
Newtonian telescopes, just by the way that they're made, usually require more frequent collimation, but it's easy
Right.
to do.
They're easier because the focal length is longer. The
Yeah.
focal ratio. So
Right.
it gets tough when your focal ratios go down.
Mm-hmm. Right. But and there's some cool tools these days on doing collimation that we really didn't
Well,
have.
show them the tool. Show them the special tool we put on our Dob there behind you to collimate with. It's kind of, I don't know if any
I
other
don't have
manufacturer
one.
does it.
I don't have one.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Why not?
Because I collimate the old-fashioned way.
Oh,
I go on a high-powered.
you reach your arms like this.
Exactly. That's what I do.
So that gives a clue on what this
Yeah, I'm
tool
just
is.
kind of old school that way. I
This
like
tool
doing
is
it.
this tool is it's called a reach rod. And
Oh, you're talking about this particular telescope.
yeah, that's one, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, this one, instead of the collimation screws being on the back, like a lot of Newtonians, the collimation screws are in the back here. On this telescope, the collimation screws are on the inside of the rocker box. And we have a wand that reaches down in there. And while you're looking through the eyepiece or using a laser or whatever, you just turn this rod and you get a collimation like that. A lot of people love that feature. I think
makes it
it's
a lot more
feature that
convenient.
we don't really talk a lot about, but it's
No,
really
but that's a significant feature when you're doing collimation. And it allows you to really get practice to collimation and do it all the time, which is what you really need to do if you want
right.
the best images. You need to do it more often, and any tool that makes you or lets you do it more often, easier, that's what you
Right.
want to have. I don't know. Does you know if any other manufacturer offers a reach rod like that?
Nope, just Explore Scientific.
That's
So
why you should only buy Explore Scientific Dobs then.
that's why. That's right.
Uh-huh.
Norm Hughes is talking about autofocusing. He says autofocusing is worth every penny it costs you. Your eyes cannot ever focus like the program can if you can afford one. Of course, this is just some sort of a closed loop algorithm where it's looking at the image,
right, and it measures the when you go in and out of focus, you know how the star gets bigger and smaller.
Yeah.
Basically, the system measures that full width at half maximum, the size of the image star, and it draws a curve called a V curve. So as you come in focus, it goes down, and then it goes out of focus, it goes back up, right? So the focus position is so you draw a line, a least squares fit on each of those slopes, and where they intersect is where the best focus is. That's a quick and dirty explanation of how that works. So it's really a simple concept to run it in and out of focus and do measurements and draw a
Yeah.
graph and then figure out where the point of the V is.
Right.
And that's where the best focus is.
Right. And so there's a lot of tools available to amateur astrophotographers today. Very sophisticated. I mean, if you look at, if you went to work at the Palomar 200 inch or the Keck Observatory or something like that, and there needed to be a focus change,
Mhm.
it's not automatic.
No,
It's a big deal. And frankly, the people that run those big telescopes probably would not let a visiting astronomer anywhere near the instrument, if there had to be a major adjustment to the telescope itself. So,
no, and they're kind of like amateur astronomers with overgrown equipment because they enjoy manipulating the equipment, right?
right. Yeah, that's right. So, but anyways, I think that's what we had to share with you guys today.
Yep.
And
What time's the star party start?
start party starts in at 6 o'clock in about 1 hour. Okay. And so there's a couple of things we got to do to get ready for that. But we hope you watch and share it with your friends. Global Star Party, this is the 75th one. And so we'll have a special door prize for that. We'll do we're going to do a nice gift certificate that will allow you to apply that towards an Explore Scientific purchase as kind of a grand prize.
That's good, just in time for the holiday.
That's right. That's right. And from there, I think that we will, of course, we'll have the rest of the normal prizes that we have, but I just kind of wanted to add on to that. The presentations are going to be, I think, really excellent. So, as they normally are. So anyhow.
Right.
But thanks for hanging in with us this afternoon. We'll see you guys in about an hour. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.